Luke Dale, welcome to Back to Byker. How are you?
I'm not too bad, man. How's yourself?
I'm good. Lovely to see you. You played Frew for 5 series between 1992 and 1996. Does that sound right to you?
That does indeed, yeah, it does indeed.
I've only just realised the other day that your last series was my first series.
It was, yeah, it
Yeah, I
was.
think I think we missed each other by about 4 episodes or something.
It
Yeah.
is. My very first ever scene
Yeah.
was Frew's actual first appearance, and the very last scene was
Yeah.
when Frew left as well. So I don't know
Oh,
if anybody
nice.
else has done that because it was normally all
Yeah.
out of sync.
Yeah.
But
Let's go back to the beginning for you. Tell me about your first audition and how you got the part.
the audition, yeah, I bypassed a lot of that, to be honest. Mine was a little bit different because obviously they used to go around the schools and the drama clubs and things like that.
Yeah.
But when I was 11, I played Bilbo Baggins in a school production of The Hobbit.
Okay.
And one of the lasses, her auntie, worked for Channel 4 at the time, and they were doing a production for a play, or a TV program called Little Richard's Ruined My Marriage, or something like that. I cannot remember the exact name, but they invited us along to an audition for that, thinking I was about 7 or 8. I
Mhm.
wasn't. I was a lot older, but I was
Nice.
tiny. Still am. I'm a bit chubbier now, but I'm still quite small. So they took us along to that audition. Unfortunately, once they saw us close up, they were like, "There's no way that this kid can pass for 7 or 8." But they put my name forward to the Grove,
Right.
and I got a letter totally out of the blue because the lady in question had said, "Oh, I'm going to pass your details on," but she didn't say where to,
Mhm.
just said on to other organisations. And then I got a letter from the Grove saying, "Oh, could you come along for an audition, please?" So I missed the first part of the auditions where you've got like 200 people in a school hall,
Mhm.
all doing stuff at the same time, and it's absolute bedlam. I think by the time I got to the auditions, there was under 200 people actually in the whole kind of process,
Mhm.
and we were quite lucky because there was 8 parts were being written into that particular series 4. There was 8 parts being written in. 2 were only very temporary as part of the psychiatric stuff, if you
Heavy.
remember any of that. And
Mhm.
the rest was obviously I was one of them. So it
Brilliant.
was good. It was scary, very, very scary
Yeah.
to go into a strange environment because a lot of it was all done in one of the big rehearsal rooms at the Mitre. So
Yeah.
it was very, very up close, and there was nobody there that I knew, and
Mhm.
it was scary, but it was good. It was good, and obviously I did something right. Or
Yeah. And
be having this
you started
conversation now.
in series 4. The show was
Mm.
still relatively fresh by then. Had you been watching previous series?
Let's guess that.
Is that a no?
Because unfortunately now, I'm very, very sorry, Matthew. It turns out I've been lying to the gaffer, to Matthew Robinson, for a lot of years. One of the first questions was, "Did you enjoy the series? Who was your favourite character?"
Right.
I've never watched it at all. It wasn't something I didn't really watch a huge amount of telly, if I'm honest. But I just gave the generic, "Oh, it's absolutely great. It tackles some brilliant issues. Who's my favourite character?" Hard to say. There's so many that are great. So unfortunately, no, I hadn't watched any. Once I found out I was in the running, I
Yeah.
did then watch a few episodes, and
Mhm.
yeah, there was some colourful characters in the early ones as well. There certainly was.
Yeah. What are your memories of being on set and being in the building?
Being in the building, me lasting memory of that is just me and Steve, just doing me and Steve stuff, barreling about all over the shop.
Yeah.
We used to do the spoon dance, which is way before your time. It was for golden syrup, where it's, if you ask anybody else, it's called the monkey walk, where you put your arms around each other and then you kind of do that with your legs. Me and Steve just barreling all over the shop, causing absolute bedlam, not being where we should have been, and Kerry having to chase her down when she was a runner and things like that. But it was always just really, really good fun, really good fun. You had to do your schoolwork as well.
Mhm.
Luckily, Jeanette used to look after me in that bit. It was strange because Steve always had art homework to do and I always had English. So I just used to make up stories and he'd draw pictures for them. It was never anything to do with schoolwork, but it kept occupied.
How did you
Um,
find juggling schoolwork and biker at the same time?
Difficult. That
Mhm.
was difficult. Unfortunately, one of the last series was when I was doing my GCSEs,
Mhm.
and the days, although you can only do X amount of time on set, I was doing a full morning's worth of revision. I was
Mhm.
then going to school, doing exams up until about lunchtime, and
Mhm.
then getting picked straight up from school to go to work,
Mhm.
reading the scripts on the way, trying to brush up, and then 6, 7 o'clock at night, I was getting dropped back off at home, trying to then learn the scripts on the next day, as
Mhm.
well as doing revision, and then that was it. And it was like that
Yeah.
for quite a chunk of the GCSE. So it was difficult, but it wasn't too bad. The schools were very, very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I don't, there wasn't ever a problem with my school, and I don't remember any of the other cast having any issues or clashes or anything
Mhm.
like that. I think the schools were quite proud of the fact that they could say that, this school, that school, the other school, oh, we've got one or two people on this, we've got blah, blah, blah. I think they were quite happy with that. They were very, very accommodating, which I suppose really they shouldn't have been, not
Yeah.
at that age anyway.
I had a heavy storyline while I was doing my GCSEs as well, and it was pretty tough. Yeah, to
Yeah,
juggle the two. Yeah.
it is. You
You
still get
mentioned
to.
Stephen Carr there, because
Mhm,
Frew and Barney were a brilliant partnership, and
mhm.
it was. I actually was watching it the other day and seeing you both start when you were both so young and you got on so well together, and then watching the relationship develop. It was quite sad how it all ended,
It
wasn't it?
was. It was.
Scrapping by the side of the A1 motorway.
Yeah.
My first thought
Would
was, who cleared that, health and safety wise? That must have been
well,
a
to be fair, there probably was repercussions from that because we broke the car door. And he punches us in the face and I fall and hit the car door. Well, me and Steve had been beating each other up for years, fighting and wrestling. We'd trained for that, war experts. But I hit the car door with such force that it popped one of the hinges.
Really.
So I don't know how much that cost them when they then had to take
Yeah.
the car back, but I can imagine they wouldn't have been too happy with it.
Yeah. And you obviously you literally grew up together, so you and Stephen must
Yeah.
have gone really well in real life as well, did you?
We did. I mean, when we started, the first sort of couple of blocks or 8 episodes for the non-techie ones there, me and Steve weren't in much together at all. I was the foster home. He
Hmm.
was hanging around with Winston, who was obviously his brother, Noddy, Speedy, people like that. I don't know if when we first started, if me and Steve were meant to be
Right.
characters, so close. But
Yeah.
because me and Steve got on so well and there was that chemistry there, they
Hmm.
just kind of automatically put in more scenes together. Again, Kerry, she started the exact same time as well.
Right.
So we all grew up because there's not that much really of an age difference either
Hmm.
between me and Steve are obviously the same age. There's only a few years
Hmm.
between us and Kerry, and because she was living in, I think it was Heaton at the time, she
Hmm.
used to get the wonderful, wonderful job of driving we home at the end if we were there until the end. So that must have been great having us teenagers absolutely hyper bouncing all over the car on the way home after a long day. You know what I mean? Must have been a nightmare. But now I had some of our best scenes together. Me and Steve
Yeah.
did loads of bits and pieces. Started off more comedy than
Hmm.
serious stuff, although there were obviously
Yeah.
serious storylines in there. But it was always if there was any fun being had or any mischief or anything daft going on, you knew it was one of us that was
Yeah.
kind of behind it, and more often than not, it was both of us
Yeah. There
eating
seemed to be
chocolate
a
mousse.
definite turning point in you and
Mm.
Stephen getting the media storylines, and that was when you went to the countryside. Do you remember?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
What
That
was
was
that
that was
storyline?
another one. It's quite scary because although there wasn't really much happened because it's a children's TV series, but I had two on-screen kisses, one with
Hmm.
Marie, played by Louise, and one with I do apologise, I cannot actually remember the characters' names now, but the two girls that were
Hmm.
met in the country.
Hmm.
And although at the time they strip everything right back, so you've got the director, you've got the cameraman, you've got the sound man, you've got nothing else that you need. It was still, quite daunting doing that in front of the crew. And the
Hmm.
one when we were away in the country,
Hmm.
we actually filmed the kissing scene of a night time in the cemetery up on the West Road. So
Right.
we had the skeleton staff of crew, but we also had Eric with one of the big boards wafting smoke across the graveyard as well. So I had big, tall, 6 foot odd Eric wafting things at us off camera as well. So that made it a little more interesting as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were good.
Was there any particular storyline that you enjoyed?
there's a lot. I mean, the final storyline, the Frew
Yeah.
and Barney storyline, obviously was absolutely fantastic. There was so much going on. There was car crashes, while running away from
Mhm.
things. We had a fight. He dragged somebody out of a car. It was all stuff that we hadn't done before because,
Mhm.
like I say, Frew and Barney were always fun. They were always
Yeah.
laughing, always up to mischief. But I think really one of me favourite storylines was quite early on because I'm a huge animal lover anyway.
Mhm.
But the wallaby, when we got the wallaby,
Yeah.
it's I don't even think I knew what a wallaby was before we seen it. It was just a little kangaroo to me. But there was a big thing just before one of the scenes with the wallaby where I had a hold of it. So you hold its tail to kind of keep it in place, and you put your arm underneath it. And it was one of the guys that did would have probably been Martin, the costume director, turned around and went, "Where have they come from? Have they came from inside or have they came from home?" And the kind of everybody went, "Oh, I don't know." And he went, "Well, find out." He went, "Because he hasn't got a jacket on." And I didn't. I just had a t-shirt. And they had a look, and the last scene that we'd been in, I was at home. They went, "All
Mhm.
right, he needs his jacket on, and he's just came from home." And that was quite lucky because on the next take, the wallaby kicked us, and he ripped a leather jacket from there to there with one kick. And I would have been just wearing a t-shirt if they hadn't checked
Yeah.
if it came from inside the grove or if it came from home. But the
Right.
wallaby was great. Disappeared. We're pushing it around in a little pram, and it
Yeah.
just decided, "I'm not having this." And it's the little park that was across from the mitre.
Yeah.
It just away hopped off.
Did it?
It was a smelly little thing as well. The pram, I'm sure they had to bin it because the pram was just full of poo. Just being a wild animal, it just pooed where it wanted. But yeah, it disappeared in the park, so I had all the crew trying to kind of box it off and fence it
Yeah.
in, and get it back on its little lead and back in the pram. But it was great. The wallaby, I'd have quite happily kept it.
A nice mix of light-hearted stuff and drama for you as well then.
Yeah,
Your character. I was watching your later episodes the other day, and one thing I noticed was in the warehouse, there's a great scene with you, Stephen, and Kerry Ann where you stand in a triangle doing Reservoir Dogs.
yes, that
I
was
thought that was a
exactly it.
nice
It was. We
touch.
even said that.
Yeah.
There was a bit where we were rehearsing, where all three of us just raised our arms like that as if we had the guns in them. And I think there was a little bit of a debate whether or not they keep that in, but they decided no. They
No,
decided
maybe
wisely
not.
no.
And yeah, and Barney in the young offenders, and he's
Mm.
shouting, "You did this to me." It's like it was proper drama. It was brilliant.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah, and it upset us.
yeah.
He took it very very seriously. The punch in the face was real. He was very much a method actor. So the punch in the face wasn't real, but he did punches in the face during rehearsal. So stood by the side of the road and he went, "Right, we'll have one little run through." Whack. So, felt that.
Now that the show's streaming on STV, have you been tempted to watch any episodes?
I haven't watched any yet, but I
Mhm.
have had quite a few of the clips.
Mhm.
And one of the clips that I've been sent from people is the one where I'm barking. And it's
I
very,
saw
very
it.
early on in my career. I'd forgotten about it. It's
Yeah.
genuinely a scene that I'd totally forgotten about where I'm barking at, I believe it was a journalist, if I remember
Right.
rightly.
Yeah.
And I barked at him, and I'd forgotten about that. And everybody was quite impressed with me
Yeah.
dog bark. So
Yeah.
it's nice to know that I've been remembered for something.
Yeah. Both of our characters at different times lived at Lewes, and I
Yes,
know that you were close to Annie Owen, who we
I
sadly
was.
lost in 2023. You must have nice memories of working with Annie.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. I mean, with Annie, she was absolutely lovely. As you know, she was absolutely wonderful. One of the nicest people you'll genuinely ever meet,
Mm.
but so professional as
So
well.
professional, yeah.
And there was times, and I'm sure you've had it as well, where you'd get the look and you'd get the voice when you were, buggering about on set and just being not professional, being a child basically, where your concentration had wandered and that, and then Annie she would step in and she'd tell you, "Right now,
Mhm.
enough, pack it
Yeah.
in."
And we'd
Um,
listen.
we did. Oh God, I
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't ignore Annie. It's
Mhm.
strange calling her Annie. I,
Mm.
I only ever call her Annie when I'm talking about her
Right.
because with it being the foster home,
Yeah.
literally within the first couple of scenes,
Mhm.
she was just Ma,
Yeah.
and that was it. That was all I ever referred to her as.
Mhm.
And although sorry, what a turd. No, after obviously the Grove finished, we kept in touch.
Hmm.
And especially after my mum died, she
Hmm.
still used to send us messages and she'd comment on Facebook, as I'm sure she did with everybody else as well. But she always used to sign it off, "Love Ma,"
Hmm.
and that genuinely meant so much to us. And
Yeah.
now, unfortunately, lost Annie as well.
Mm.
But she's not gone. As long
No.
as we're remembering and talking about her, and
Hmm.
obviously we've all got these memories. She's not gone. She's
Yeah.
still here.
Yes, you're right. She was such a professional. I think I can count on one hand how many times she forgot
Yeah.
a line. It was very rare. And we'd be like, oh, yes, she's actually human.
Yeah, I don't think Annie has ever went for an audition. Because if you remember, every single Catherine Cookson thing that needed a mother, they'd just be
Mhm.
straight on the phone and be like, "Is
Yes.
Annie free?" "Yeah, aye, great.
Yeah.
We'll have her next week, sound."
Yeah.
And that was it. I don't think she'd had an audition in about 20 odd years. People just used to ring and ask her
Yeah.
because that was who she was.
Hmm.
She was everybody's mum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
She was, she was,
good person, good
she was
person.
furious about me leaving. She said, I
Aye,
can't believe you're gone. I said, I'm 19 now, Annie. I've got to go. It just looks weird that I'm here.
aye.
She was like,
Hanging
go on
around
off
in a youth
off to
club at
London.
19.
She was brilliant, and we'll definitely miss her. Let's
Yeah.
talk about life after Biker.
Mhm.
Did you want to continue acting, or were you like,
To
thank you
be
very
fair,
much, that's
yes.
it?
I did. Unfortunately, the timing was horrendous because the jump. Because one of the questions I get asked loads is why didn't you continue in it?
Yeah,
And when people that haven't been in the industry ask you that question, it's almost like it was just I couldn't be bothered. They're expecting like, well, why didn't you stay in it? You
yeah.
should have. You were on the telly. Why aren't you on the telly now? It's not
Mhm.
that easy. But unfortunately, when I finished, and as you know, you've got little commitments after you finish as well. So really, for about another 6, 9 months, you're still involved, not on a day-to-day basis, but you still do the Saturday morning stuff and interviews and
Yeah.
premieres and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So by the time it actually came to me chucking me hat in the ring for other parts, I went and had a meeting with Dave Holly that lots and lots and lots of the guys and girls from the Grove did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ant Deck had just signed that first big contract.
Mhm.
And that was when Dave was stopping taking on new work and he was kind of scaling back a little bit to just his existing. And after that, I know there's, obviously there's other agents and agencies out there, but by the time I'd kind of got round to sorting things, I was working.
Yeah.
And then from then it's what it's like. Life gets in the way.
Mhm.
Then you've got bills to pay and
Yeah.
family and that sort of thing. So it
Mhm.
just kind of gets put on the back burner. But it's something that I would still absolutely love to do. But it's
Yeah.
just now it's the time more than anything else. You
Yeah.
you can't afford the 6 months of doing nothing while you wait for
Mhm.
little bit parts and
Mhm.
adverts and things like that. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. But if Ant and Dec did come knocking for Frew to be in the
I
reboot,
would be there in a heartbeat, mate, in an absolute heartbeat. So if you're
what
watching this, right, lads, if you're watching, I'm available.
what do you think Frew's doing now?
To be honest, I think Frew is probably a lot like myself because although yes, we've got bills to pay, we've got jobs, as I've just said, I've never grown up. I'm still an absolutely massive kid at heart,
Yeah.
which my Baines, I mean, my other half, Amanda, she'll tell you, I'm the biggest kid in the house. So I think whatever Frew's doing now, he's just having fun and he's enjoying it. And
Yeah.
hopefully him and Barney are good friends.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully they've hugged and made up and
Yeah.
they're back to being pals again. Because me and Steve, we still keep in touch as
You do.
well. But unfortunately, it's one of those adult things where you
Mhm.
speak to each other and you go, hey, do you know what it is? We should have a catch up. I haven't seen you for ages.
Yeah.
And then 6 months have passed and you still haven't had a catch up. And,
Yeah.
it's that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
when we do get together, it's always eventful, shall we say. It's always fun.
I would love to see Frew and Barney in the reboot. I think it needs
That would be great.
that.
Again, just barreling about in the background, causing absolute havoc.
Luke, this has been lovely.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
very
sir.
much. We just went back
Not
to
a problem.
bike.